Shyamananda, क्या हमारा गाँव? नो प्लीज, हारमोनियम बजाओगे? अच्छा, क्या हो गया? एक मिनट बिल्कुल भाई। जय राम, जय बिहार, जय राम, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरदा, 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 यशोदानंदन यमुना तीरा यमुना तीरा, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Prabhupada, Cara marah tidak ini cara cinta pertama kali. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीगुरुन् सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायके कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरातिशे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टाप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। The reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, verse number 7, 447. Tam agatam tatra na kaschanadriya vimanitam yagyapito bhayajanam riteshvashre vai janani chashadara prema shukantya parishashvajurmudha tamagatam tatra na kaschanadriya vimanitam yagyapito bhayajanam riteshvashre vai jananim chashadara prema shukantya parishashvajurmudha tamagatam tatra na kaschanadriya vimanitam yagyapito bhayajanam riteshvare vai jananim chashadara prema shukantya parishashvajurmudha tamagatam tatra na kaschanadriya vimanitam yagyapito bhayajanam diteshvashre vai jananim chashadara prema shukantya parishashvajurmudha tam asati agatam having arrived tatra there na not kaschana anyone adriyat receive vimanitam not receiving respect yagyakrita of the performer of the sacrifice daksha bhayat from fear janaha person rite accept Swashri,
So Sri,
her own sisters.
her own sisters,
Why,
Vai,
indeed,
Ni,
Janani,
Ni,
mother,
Mother,
Cha,
Cha,
and
yeah,
Sa Adara,
Sa Adara,
with respect.
with respect,
Prema Ashru Kantya,
Prema Ashlu Kantreya,
whose throats were filled with tears of affection.
whose throats were filled with tears of affection,
Parishashvaju,
Parishashvaju,
embraced,
embraced,
Muda,
Buddha,
with glad
with
faces.
glad faces.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When Sati with her followers reached the arena, because all the people assembled were afraid of Daksha, none of them received her well. No one welcomed her but her mother and sisters, who with tears in their eyes and with glad faces welcomed her and talked with her very pleasingly. Purport. The mother and sisters of Sati could not follow the others, who did not receive Sati very well. Due to natural affection, they immediately embraced her with tears in their eyes and with loving feelings. This shows that women as a class are very soft hearted, and their natural affection and love cannot be checked by artificial means. Although the men present were very learned Brahmanas and demigods, they were afraid of their superior, Daksha. And because they knew that their welcoming Sati, and because they knew that their welcoming Sati would displease him, although in their mind they wanted to receive her, they could not do so. Women are naturally soft hearted, but men are sometimes very hard hearted. So Sati went to the house of her father, and Lord Shiva told Sati that I don't think it's a good idea. I don't recommend you to go. But Sati was like, she was unhappy. So she's walking around the corridor like this, little angry. And then she started going. Then Lord Shiva told first Lord Nandi and the other that you go and accompany Sati. So Sati went with the whole entourage. When Sati reached there, and Sati was very eager to meet all the loved ones. And when she went there, then all of them, Daksha is like, and everybody was sitting, and Daksha is very powerful. So all of them, when they saw Sati came, so this remind me of those Brahmanas. And Krishna asked the cowherd boys told Krishna, Krishna, we are hungry. So Krishna says, you go to Mathura and there are many yogic Brahmanas and you beg food. Then all the cowherd boys went. So they told Brahmanas, you're all Brahmanas. Um, one of the quality of Brahmana is giving charity. We are very hungry and Krishna and Balaram are waiting nearby. So can you please give us some food? They said, go away, go away. Right now it's not offered. This is Bhoga. Go away. They said, but you can offer now and they get lost. So, so they came back. They told Krishna and Balaram, they were a little sad. They told Krishna and Balaram. We didn't, they were like little mayus, little sad. And Krishna said that one who lives by begging should not be discouraged if he doesn't receive what he is begging for. Well, did you ask the wives of Brahmanas? So they said no. So they said, um, I think it's worth trying. And because of their surrender to Krishna, actually, if you go to some home, like to ask something, and they like trash you and reject you, then how many of us want to go to that home again to beg? It's very difficult, right? Once we are already rejected, and so they were like, all right, Krishna and Balara, we'll go again. So they went again. And this time they were careful not to ask the Brahmanas or not to not to see them also. But they directly asked their wives that uh, we are very hungry and Krishna is very hungry and uh, if you can give some food in begging. And they had that natural love and affection for Sri Krishna. And they had this natural affection for Sri Krishna. So they were like No, we will not give you food. Tell us where they are and we are doing. And they just packed whatever they have, whatever they cooked for Brahmanas. They took the bhoga and everything because they are offering to the fire yajna. And here the source of that yajna, the enjoyer of that yajna is personally asking. And these gopis, then they knew that. They were like, they took everything. And they had no fear because they had this natural affection for Krishna. So they just took everything and they knew like 5,000 years ago, if you take everything that you have cooked for your husband, for their yajna, and you take everything and you reject your husband and you go to meet somebody else, then you know that you're not coming back. If you come back, you're not getting accepted back at the home. But their natural love and affection for Krishna was so intense that they are like, they were just driven by that love for Krishna. So they just start, so they had no fear or they were not considering the consequences of what the reaction would be. And here we see the mothers. Daksha was very upset. So we see that this mothers and sisters, they are embracing and they have no fear what Daksha will. The wife had to see the father and daughter had to see the father later on. But they didn't care what Daksha will, what the reaction will be, and they just embrace Sati. So in that way, they just ran to Krishna and they fed Krishna and Krishna ate everything. And then Krishna says, now you can go back. And they said, Krishna, now who will accept us? Whatever we had, we just left everything now. If we go back to our house, who will accept us? So Krishna says, I recommend that you go back. And they were like, okay. So they went back. But because they had surrendered to Krishna, Krishna made all the arrangements. Although it seems materially and the most difficult situation when they went, Krishna sitting in the heart of Brahmana made the Brahmanas feel that we are so disgusted personalities that Swam Krishna was and this Krishna can do that. And um, based on society, they should have like rejected these gopis. But because it was done for the pleasure of Krishna and Krishna is supreme controller, they were thinking that our wives are worshipable, their lives are perfect and our lives are condemned. So they said when they came back, they told they were afraid that if you will be accepted or not, but Krishna told them, you know, you have attained perfection and we are, what is the use of our yajnas and mudras and all these things, completely useless waste of time. And then they wanted to actually do some service to Krishna and want to perfect their lives. But then they were thinking, what if Kamsa comes to know? Then, then, so because of the fear, they stopped. But Kamsa would come to know if we see like the spontaneous love between the Brahmanas and their wives, the Brahmana Yajnik wives. Kamsa would come to know Kamsa is far away. There is a chance that there will be some reaction. But these wives are like, sure, they are going to have a tough time to return back. In their home only, and they left. And they are thinking far away from Kamsa, and so they could not live. That is a spontaneous love we see. So here Prabhupada is mentioning that the women are naturally soft-hearted, but men are sometimes very hard-hearted. And there we see all the men with Daksha, they were like, because they were afraid of Daksha, they could not do what is right. And all the sisters and mothers immediately embraced it. So I wanted to discuss something about this concept of soft-heartedness and hard-heartedness. So it is said when one attains, now what makes us hard-hearted? It is selfishness makes us hard-hearted. Was it your mic? Hare Krishna. So what makes us hard-hearted is selfishness makes us hard-hearted. Like for example, Sunday feast is served or Prasharam is served. There is one Rasgulla. You know, if those who are living in temple are bored of Rasgullas, example, you know, there are 50 people and there is one Rasgulla. Then one thinks, oh, Rasgulla, I think I should get that. So he takes or maybe two rasgullas and then takes both in his plate. So hard-hearted means now this person is only thinking about himself. But when one who is sense controlled, he will be careful about others' feelings. So he will think that oh there is only two. So maybe I'll take a quarter and divide it into two. Then he's thinking about others. So when we think about ourselves first and later on about others, then that what makes our heart hard. It is said when one attains the stage of bhava, then the heart becomes very soft. Like Bhagavan said, then the heart becomes very soft. What is the difference between the soft heart and emotional heart? Some people naturally are very emotional. They see something and they immediately start crying. So does that mean that they attain the stage of bhava? No, right? There are many people who are very weak actually. So there's a difference between weak-hearted or kamzor, dil ke devi kamzor, and then soft-hearted. Soft-hearted that is glorified. The soft-heartedness that is glorified is when the emotions immediately arise from a Krishna conscious instigation. Anything about Krishna when makes our heart melt, then that is a stage of bhava. Like you see a devotee, you see Radha Gopijana Vallabha, or you hear a verse of Bhagavad, and then immediately your heart melts. Then this is very nice stage of bhava. Now, um, I would like to read few quotes from Srila Prabhupada on different things Prabhupada said about soft heartedness. Everywhere in the Vedic literature, glories of Lord Krishna are sung. As soon as soft-hearted people such as women hear those transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, they immediately become attracted to him. Soft-hearted women and girls are therefore very easily drawn to Krishna consciousness movement. So one part of soft-heartedness is also like we come and then we hear some pastime of Krishna, and after hearing we feel like so wonderful and we feel like crying in our heart melt. Then that is very nice. Or we chant the holy name and we feel some the heart is softened. So that is glorified. And those who maybe see the form of the Lord and like and chant the names of the Lord and they feel like no attraction to any bhakti element, and that should be understood that their heart is very hard. We see one example of Vasu Ghosh. He wrote a song, Vaishnav song, where he says that, and Lord has placed a stone in my heart instead of, and he has replaced. And also we see from Bhagavatam, there is a verse that says, if I chanting the holy names of Krishna, tears does not come from the eyes and they don't stand on the end and voice don't choke up. Then it must be understood that one's heart is very hard. It is there is a second canto, I think some chapter that verse is there. So we may see that there are some people who may see some emotions and their heart may melt, but when they chant the holy name of Krishna, then they feel find it very difficult to chant. So real soft-heartedness is not directly related to the emotional thing. Real soft-hearted is a Krishna conscious instigation, and when the holy name melts the heart, then when Krishna melts the heart, then the heart is considered so. But naturally, those who are like who Prabhupada generalizes it, and Prabhupada says Krishna is all attractive, and those who have in general a Vamana Hriday, a common heart, and if they're attracted to um, Krishna's pastimes, then it becomes easier for them. Prabhupada says women generally have this soft tenderness in their heart. So if they are attracted to Sri Krishna, then it's easier for them to take up Krishna consciousness. And then we see soft-heartedness in Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra weapons in hand want to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. So we see he because he is not driven by personal desire to enjoy, so he can think of others. But Arjuna cannot think of the pain caused to others and the death that will happen because he is driven by his desire to gain the kingdom. So that what makes his heart hard. Prabhupada says in the purport about Arjuna, Prabhupada says all these symptoms are due to soft-heartedness, resulting from his being a great devotee of the Lord. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Then we see Bharat Maharaj also, his heart was very softened because of his devotional service. And he could not see the pain of the deer. Although he became deviated because of lack of association, but he could not, he felt the pain of the deer. Then Prabhupada, then nectar of devotion, it says, when devotional service is executed on the transcendental platform of pure love, it is like a sun ray of love for Krishna. At such a time, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes, and one is then situated in bhav, emotion. So this is the definition that Rupa Goswami gives of the state of bhav. And he says, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes. Shivram Maharaj mentions in the stage of bhav also, there is secondary symptom, there is primary symptom. And then he says softened heart is primary or secondary? Secondary symptom. And then he says that 10 symptoms of bhav are the primary symptoms. Like we see that one of them is avyartakalatvam, one of them is virakti. So when we see those things, like they don't waste a moment and they are not attached with this world. So just because somebody hears some Krishna Katha and chants and attends a kirtan and then he feels like crying or heart melt does not mean that bhava has arised. But because that is only a secondary symptom. But actual bhava we see, like Prabhupada says, our advancement we can see based on how much are we detached from this world. And there are 10 symptoms that Rupa Goswami mentions. A soft heart is compared to, another place Prabhupada says, a soft heart is compared to honey, to butter, and to nectar. And the condition of the mind is compared to the sunshine. As honey and butter become melted even in slight sunshine, soft-hearted persons become easily melted. Nectar, however, by its nature always liquid. Nectar is always liquid, doesn't need the sunshine. So likewise, advanced bhava stage Prabhupada says, this nectar of devotion, Prabhupada is like, always the heart is like the melting position. Or, but in initial stage of bhava, it's like butter and honey. The slight Krishna conscious immediately it will melt. Advanced stage is always in a melting state. Melted state. Nectar is liquid form already. Our is like a rock. 1600 chanting Hare Krishna also. Nothing happens in the heart. Another example Prabhupada gives of Draupadi. Prabhupada gives two perspectives to it. This is when Draupadi, Ashwatthama was brought to Draupadi. Prabhupada said, but Draupadi being woman, Vama Sobhava, very soft-hearted. She did not consider whether he is actually a Brahman. So she said, he is a Brahmana. How can you kill a Brahman? And then Krishna says, kill her. Because he is a Brahma Bandhu. Means he is friend of Brahmana, but he is not a Brahman. But kill Ashwatthama. But Draupadi says he is a Brahman. So Prabhupada says, so Vama Sobhava. They are women. Women are very simple, soft-hearted. The whole idea is that they should be given protection, no freedom. Girls and women are generally very soft-hearted and they take things very easily. But then there is also a chance of being misled. So there is this other angle of soft-heartedness means then they can melt at places where they should not have melted. So that's another angle Prabhupada gives to complete this principle. So you chant the holy name of Krishna and Krishna will keep you from being misled. Many people who are soft-hearted, so people can take advantage. And then Prabhupada says, but if you are chanting Hare Krishna, then you will be um, Krishna will keep you from being misled. And Krishna will guide you so you're not misled, even if that thing is there. Then Prabhupada gives couple of things Prabhupada recommend how to make the heart soft. Heart is very hard. How to make the heart soft. So Prabhupada says, Prabhupada gave an example of the hunter and Narada. Prabhupada says, although the hunter was very sinful, actually sense made our heart hard, and the desire for sense gratification made our heart. So actually, hunter was very sinful, and because he was sinful, so his heart was very hard. How hard his heart was? How hard his heart was? He was killing, and he's finding joy there, and doesn't move him. Another killing, another killing. So his heart was very hard. So Prabhupada says that although the hunter was very sinful, his heart became softened and he became afraid of his sins by virtue of his association with a great devotee like Narada. This is the effect of seeing a pure devotee. Heart becomes soft. This is the association, the effect of association. So we see when I'm a spiritual master, even though we are in a very hard heart, but when we see our spiritual master and their devotion, their path, then immediately the heart would melt. Prabhupada said, is the power of association. Or in association, when we hear Kirtan, in pure devotee association or Katha, then this is one way even the heart can melt. Then another thing Prabhupada said, this is the last thing. A person who is constantly engaged in devotional service to Krishna and who chants his holy name becomes so transcendently attached to the chanting that his heart becomes soft without extraneous endeavor. Prabhupada said, another way to make the heart soft is just keep on chanting Hare Krishna. And initially we may be like very hard-hearted, don't care about others, but if we just keep on chanting Hare Krishna, the heart will become soft. We should hold Sankirtan, Prabhupada says, as much as possible and distribute prasada. Gradually, when their heart is softened, then we will talk of philosophy. Then we will talk of philosophy, not in the beginning. So there were new vessels coming, and Prabhupada says, simply hold Sankirtan, distribute prasada. Gradually, the heart will soften. And when that will happen, then Prabhupada says, then we will talk of philosophy. So it means when the heart is very hard, then they cannot even understand and appreciate the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. There is another thing also. This is in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 14. Prabhupada says some scholars, some things like two things we Prabhupada says about that can make the heart soft. One is the holy name, one is association. And then Prabhupada speaks about dry renunciation and dry knowledge. Prabhupada says some scholars recommend that knowledge and renunciation are important factors for elevating oneself to devotional service. But actually, that is not the fact. Actually, the cultivation of knowledge or renunciation, which are favorable for achieving a footing in Krishna consciousness, may be accepted in the beginning. But ultimately, they may also come to be rejected for devotional services dependent on nothing other than the sentiment or desire for such service. It requires nothing more than sincerity. It is the opinion of expert devotees that mental speculation and the artificial austerities of yoga practice, not like the austerities we do like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, or we control our senses because we want to control our mind, not that kind of austerity, but the artificial austerity. The artificial austerities of yoga practice, they go to Himalayas and do a lot of tapa and there is no bhakti element there. Um, and the artificial austerities of yoga practice may be favorable for becoming liberated from material contamination, but they will also make one's heart harder and harder. They will not help at all in the progress of devotional service. These processes are therefore not favorable for entering into the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Actually, Krishna consciousness, devotional service itself, is the only way of advancing in devotional life. Devotional service is absolute. It is both the cause and the effect. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause and effect of all that be. And to approach Him, the absolute, the process of bhakti, devotional service, is also absolute, has to be adopted. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord Himself. One can understand me only through devotional service. So only bhakti. One devotee was mentioning, we are not the devotees of um, Gyan and Vairagya. We are devotees of this. And that itself will bring Gyan and Vairagya. That's the discussion.
When you mentioned about Brahmanas accepting their wives as superior and um, like kind of following in the footsteps. So like, my heart is very hard to accept someone, advance them. So how to get rid of that thought and look at the what needs to be done and become humble in front of someone.
So the question is, when we see it's hard to accept somebody more advanced than us. So how do we get that quality of become humble in front of others who are advanced than us? What I can say from is the path of bhakti is absolute. And it is our devotional practice over a period of time that helps us um, give us that quality of, in the beginning, at least my personal experience. Um, it's always I in the center, and like the mind will always go in the places like how I'm better than others, and just makes us feel good about ourselves. That how, see, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, and they had this problem, they had this problem, they had this problem, they had this problem, but I'm better. And I think just over a period of time, which I haven't attained that, but from what I have heard, just over a period of time, then we start seeing one good in others, and we think, oh, they are better than me because of this. They are better than me because of this, and they are better than me because of this. And then we neglect so many ways that we are better than others. But we remember one or two ways that they are better than us, and only that remains in the consciousness, and only respect remains in the consciousness. And that is such a nice stage to be, like such wonderful consciousness. And I think that is Krishna's mercy. If we are able to see somebody else as better than us, it's Krishna's mercy. That is the only way we can see somebody else. Some one example which I really love in this respect is Uddhav and Gopis. When they saw them, then he was like, it's like, I wish I desire to become a blade of grass so that I can receive the dust on their feet. It's inappropriate if I tell Srimati Radharani and Lalita and Vishaka Devi to put their feet on my head, they will never do so. But if I become a blade of grass and they don't know, and they just walk it, then I will receive it. So let rather get in a position. Somebody was mentioning last week, uh, even if there is something that we don't like, and if they are doing something wonderful, then we appreciate it. And when we appreciate, then we become their friend. We become them. That's how we temporarily overcome those feelings of somebody better. Also, scripture says we cannot understand somebody who is on a higher platform than us. Like Prabhupada gave an example, it takes one to know one. So we will, we may think they're little better, but we always have some maybe little better. Like one time, Roni Prabhu came here, I think, a decade back or something. He says what these pure devotees achieve after decades of sadhana. Um, we don't realize how much it takes to get to where they are. It may seem like with little practice, or maybe those who are advanced, it may seem little practice and I can get what they have. But we are not able to see how much they have done to attain the stage of sadhana that they are able to maintain today. Like somebody who comes day one, they may think like they are standing 25 years, they're a little bit advanced, cannot understand, cannot appreciate. They may have high respect, but they cannot really appreciate, cannot really understand. I think it's just, I feel like we aspire, bhakti is very attractive. When we see the consciousness of advancement is very, very attractive. And then that inspires us. All we can do in our use is as much as possible, continuously engage in serving Krishna. What we can like Prabhupada says here, the only prize is sincerity. So all we can do is we are fallen in the consciousness that we want to achieve like far away. Everything that we want is far away. But then we have faith that's a reality. And we have faith that is achievable. Um, like Rupa Goswami says this example of hope against hope. So there's a feeling like, oh, I this is too high. And then there is a hope, but it's achievable also. So a devotee does not have any hope that he will attain it, but then he has hope, but I can achieve. And in that hope against hope, he does more and more what he is able to do. See, whatever we are is based on our past lives. In our way, how much determination we have, how much taste we have. Naturally, this life sincerity, but it's continuing from past life also. Some are very advanced from previous lives, and some are like very degraded from previous lives. So no matter where we are, and like one time Malti Prabhu was mentioning, quoting Saraswati Thakur. I don't know where it's from, but I think from Bharat Maharaj pastime Saraswati Thakur says it takes 3 or 4 lifetimes to go back to God. Something Malti Prabhu mentioned. So then I was thinking, oh, maybe somebody is 2, 3 lifetimes more advanced. How does it matter? Because ultimately, once we attain perfection, then we attain perfection. All we need to do is remain sincere in whatever position I am today. And those who are very advanced, how they have attained that is assuming that they began from, say, a platform and now they are on a very advanced platform. What has made them attain this platform is their sincerity. And the only thing that is in my hand is how, like, life is full of choices. So what choices I make? And if I will do my chanting sincerely, I will get up, I will serve, I will use my time, I will avoid any sinful activities. I'll try to be sincere, but there are some places which we cannot be very sincere, like nice prasadam. Fine. There are some like loopholes in our practices, like, oh, this is too difficult austerity, I can't do. But then if it is not breaking regulative principles, devotees still say fine with it. That itself, renunciation, Krishna will give that also. Krishna will at some point of time. There may be something where we allow ourselves. But then if we just remain sincere, I think the gift of bhakti comes with patience. All the gifts that we are aspiring for is just if we can continuously practice. And only one thing that we try to avoid is one is we try to avoid breaking regulative principles, Another is if we can um, avoid offending devotees. And then, like, if we have a fear of offending devotees, a good amount of fear, offenses will happen any nonetheless. Anyways. But if Krishna sees that we don't want to, and then maybe when, if we just keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Um, like Sagar Maharaj says, what was unattainable for me, what was inaccessible for me few years ago is accessible to me today. Like, for example, previously, maybe just hearing the name of Krishna is like inaccessible. The mind is so disturbed that all over the place. And maybe for some of the devotees, hearing the name is accessible. Maybe for some of the devotees, seeing the form of Krishna is accessible. So whatever was inaccessible some years back is accessible today. So whatever is not accessible today will be accessible tomorrow. Tomorrow means some decades if we live that long. So everything is the gift of patience will avoid everything. And also, like His Holiness Sadhana Swami Maharaj in Chicago, Maharaj was mentioning what keeps us humble. Maharaj said is because pure love for Krishna is already there in the heart of all living entities. So there is nothing that we have that others don't have. That is because all of us have pure love for Krishna in a particular relationship within our heart, all day. And it's just a matter of few years. So Maharaj said that we're not better than anybody, it was just a matter of few years. And once we go there, then everyone has it. Yesterday, I think yesterday we were day before yesterday we were discussing Sunday program we were discussing. Um, the greatest wealth is one who has devotion. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains Mahaprabhu and Sanatan Shiksha. So no, Ramananda Roy, Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, who is the richest man? Then Ramananda Roy says, one who has love for Krishna. Thanks. Anything else? What do you want to write? Okay, so we'll end here. Thank you very much. Thank you for tolerating me. Vanchakalpataruvesya Vipasindhu Vacha Patitana Pavan Vaishnavi Ananta Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.